After nearly 20 years of waiting, Cosmic Era fans finally got their conclusion with Gundam SEED Freedom. Visually, it is very amazing and showed us how far the animation has evolved since Gundam SEED and Gundam SEED Destiny 20 years prior. However, the timeline in the story, it felt like a chaotic mess. Was this a proper sequel to Gundam SEED Destiny, or just a way to sell new toys? Before we deploy, a massive spoiler warning is now in effect. If you haven't watched Freedom yet, you'll get an unnecessary spoiler ahead that might ruin your fun. Don't get me wrong. The action in this movie is spectacular. We are absolutely going to praise it in a minute. But before we get to the hype, we have to talk about the writing, because the narrative logic in this movie, it completely makes no sense and feels like they are just forcing a new narrative that feels inconsistent and has so many holes. Let's start with the biggest elephant in the room. The timeline. Gundam SEED Freedom takes place just 1 year after the end of SEED Destiny. 1 single year. Yet out of nowhere, this hidden nation called the Foundation emerges with technology that feels like a 10 to 20 year generational leap. They have the Black Knight Squad mobile suits, advanced anti-beam armor, and literal telepathic mind-reading powers. How does a secret organization build an entire military infrastructure, test high-output experimental mobile suits, and fund next-gen tech completely under the radar of global surveillance networks like Compass, Plant, or the Atlantic Federation? In the world of the Cosmic Era, where technology is already very advanced compared to ours, this invisible military-industrial complex makes zero sense. And honestly, this timeline flaw is an all-sides problem. Look at our heroes. Compass has also only existed for a year. Yet in those brief 12 months, they managed to design, manufacture, and fly a brand new fleet of transforming mobile suits and commission the Millennium, a massive state-of-the-art super dreadnought battleship. In the real world, a standard aircraft carrier takes over 5 years to build. But in the Cosmic Era, it takes instantly to go from nothing to flying a lightning-shooting tactical pack into orbit without even prior testing. The movie tries to justify it because Compass has global funding, but it completely shatters any sense of military realism. But perhaps the most painful part of this rushed military timeline is what the writers did to a literal franchise legend, the destruction of the Archangel. The Archangel isn't just an ordinary ship. It survived many brutal battles and earned its title as the unsinkable ship. So how does it meet its end? It gets completely blindsided by a sudden missile ambush because Compass's intelligence randomly failed. Seeing this legendary crew caught so off guard and watching the ship crash and be destroyed by a nuclear warhead without a heroic final stand felt lazy and entirely disrespectful. And don't get me started on Mullah Flaga. The man who makes the impossible possible is sidelined for most of the fight. Where was the Akatsuki Gundam? A mobile suit with literal gold mirror armor that reflects battleship-class beam weapons would completely break the villain's strategy. Instead, the script hides it away until it needs a quick shield block at the end. The movie actively sidelines its own legends to hype up recycled villains. And the nerfs didn't stop with Archangel and Mu. Let's talk about Kira Yamato. He is the ultimate coordinator. His signature style is unparalleled situational awareness and surgical precision. Yet in the final battle, the script forces him to play like an absolute beginner. Because the villains can read minds, Kira spends the fight panicking, missing shots, and looking completely incompetent. He shouldn't need Lacus sitting in his lap giving him a psychic power-up just to remember how to aim. Alright, so the script has massive plot holes, but visually, Gundam SEED Freedom is an absolute undeniable masterpiece. If you are worried about the franchise transitioning into CGI for its mecha, let me assure you, this is exactly the step up in the right direction the industry needs. Instead of using flat, weightless 3D models that look like a mobile video game, Bandai Namco Filmworks' Sunrise blended 3D assets with traditional 2D mechanical animation principles. The lines are sharp, the lighting matches the hand-drawn backgrounds, and the cell shading is incredibly clean. Historically, Gundam warships just sit in lines and trade beam fires. Freedom completely changed the game. Seeing the Millennium pull off tactical evasion maneuvers, breaking through the atmosphere, and actively dodging incoming fire using dynamic 3D camera sweeps was an absolute highlight of the movie. The movie treats this ship with a level of dynamic choreography we've never seen in SEED. More importantly, the climax of the Millennium finally gave us back the captain we know and love. While the script nerfed Murrue Ramius during the Archangel ambush, for taking the captain's chair on the Millennium was the ultimate redemption. She was clear-minded, fearless, and deeply strategic. Watching her pull off high-speed evasive drifts and executing a literal combat ramming maneuver straight through an enemy battleship was brilliant. The writers took her ship, but they gave her the ultimate stage to prove she is still the most dangerous commander in the cosmic era. The nuanced climax. Athrun Zala's growth in the gag. In a refreshing twist, Athrun is presented as the most mature, calm, and collected individual on the battlefield. While Kira was having a psychological breakdown, Athrun steps in as the seasoned veteran, effortlessly covering the exact weaknesses that made Kira look weak. He showed a level of tactical dominance that was incredibly satisfying to watch. But then, we get to his final duel against Shura, and we have to talk about that plot twist. To counter the villain's mind-reading abilities, Athrun decides to weaponize a completely perverted, inappropriate delusion of Kaidali to shock and distract his opponent. Athrun is a legendary soldier, and this was a high-stakes deathmatch for the fate of peace. Defeating the ultimate elite knight not through superior martial skill or tactical positioning, but because you flashed him with a raunchy mental image. It completely cheapens the gravity of the battle and undercuts the maturity the movie spent the last 2 hours building up for him. It's hilarious, yes, but highly disrespectful to his growth. The other positive thing is, the movie also gives Shin Asuka the stage to reclaim his dignity. Shin got absolute justice in this film. When he gets back into the cockpit of the Destiny Gundam Spec 2, he is completely unstoppable. The Black Knights try to use their telepathic mind reading on him, only to realize that Shin is fighting purely on raw, chaotic instinct, literally thinking about absolutely nothing. Watching him unleash the wings of light, create a massive army of real mass digital clones, and single-handedly wipe out the elite squad that gave Kira so much trouble was pure hype. It vindicated his character completely, and gave longtime Shin fans the glorious victory they've been waiting 20 years to see. Ultimately, Gundam SEED Freedom is a movie divided. If you look at it strictly through the lens of script writing, objective timelines, and character consistency, it is riddled with flaws, recycled plots, and bizarre writing choices. But if you look at it as a 20-year celebration of a popular universe, filled with mind-blowing hybrid animation, incredible battleship choreography, it partially delivers, although far from perfect. It's a flawed narrative wrapped in a perfect cinematic spectacle. But what do you think? Did the massive plot holes ruin the experience for you? Or did the incredible animation and Murrue Ramius's, Athrun Zala's, and Shin Asuka's epic comeback make up for it?